Okay, we are in the discussion of AWS solutions architect, and previous video we started talking about cloud formation, and we discussed generally background of cloud formation, why we need cloud formation, how did it evolve from 1990s to 2020, from on-premises physical hardware dominance to infrastructure as a code into 2020s. So also we had a sort of a basic idea what a cloud formation template is, and we discussed few different words related to that, like a cloud formation template. They can be YAML or JSON. And then we talk about stacks. Stacks are the resources created when you apply that template. And then we discuss about what do you call stack sets. When you created templates in different regions. We call it stack sets, and then we call the update sets when you update the resources using a template. All right, so we're just going to go further looking into more about the cloud formation templates in this video. So let's have a look cloud formation template basics, right? So what is a cloud formation template? The template defines the AWS resources you want to create, update, or delete within a stack. If stack is resources we create within that stack, we can create, we can update within that stack, and we can delete all the resources created, right? Only resources section is mandatory, right? Must declare at least one resources, right? So templates resources section is mandatory section, must declare at least one resources create, right? So you can create these templates using a text editor, right, in JSON or YAML, right? And there's another one called AWS Infrastructure Composer. So you have a visual interface in there, right? All right, so cloud formation template formats, you can see JSON format in the left side and YAML format in the right side, right? So the both template, you can see define the template format version, right? And then secondly, started defining resources, right? My3 bucket, and then you define type, right? And then you define properties like bucket name, right? And uh, see that that was telling in JSON more verbose, explicit syntax, and YAML cleaner indentation based, right? So whatever you like, you can use any of them, right? So the template structure is you have to format version and then description and then resources required, at least one resource, and then you got parameters, mapping, and outputs, right? So getting it started, sample templates available on GitHub, right? Not production ready. So learn how they work, adapt to your needs, ensure compliance is standard. So it can be applied through GitHub, these ones. We're going to have a look in the future, actual demonstration in the AWS portal, right? All right. So going to have a look more details into these ones, right? So I'm just going to make this very, very bigger. You could see, right? So template structure and format. So cloud formation template basics. So can be JSON or YAML, right? Templates are divided into logical sections. Each section holds a specific type of information. Only the resource section is required. The required section is the resource section again. Can get a question about the while some sections must follow a specific orders, others are flexible. Using logical order is recommended as values in one section may reference to previous section, right? So let's have a look at what sort of things in the ASO template, right? So you have parameters, so you can have input values, runtime config, validation rules, and then you can have a mapping, right? And then you can have a logical conditions, and then what are the output, right? And then you can have a uh, template information metadata, and the resource section is the core section. You need to give what are the resources you need to deploy, right? So easy to install, S3 bucket, or VPC. That's the mandatory section, right? So this is the same thing like we discussed coming in here, right? You can see template. Alright. So let's have a quick look now. How do they work? Right? So what is the process of cloud formation after we create in the template, right? So cloud formation process. So cloud formation makes the underlying service calls to AWS to provision and configure resources described in your template. It's just like giving you underlying calls when you give in the template. According to that, the underlying service calls will generate these resources, right? According to whatever your uh, template describes. So it's something like sort of a simple process, right? So we are sort of telling like in the this is not exactly the same, but uh, sort of I can explain something like let's say you going into a restaurant, right? It's not exactly the same, but I'm going to give you a sort of little bit explanation like when uh, it comes with the waiter comes with a menu, and we're going to select from menu some of the foods to order, right? Let's say you want to make a toast, right? And toast, and then you need to get a coffee, and then you need to have some sauce or sort of things. You mark them and give it to waiter, so then the waiter is going to give them into kitchen, right? And then the kitchen, the chef is going to prepare whatever needed, and some other section they're going to use the coffee machine to create a coffee, sorry, make coffee, and then resources going to come back into your table, right? The same thing, similar stuff, right? And if someone else come, he ordered the same thing, toast, and then a coffee. So it's like using the same template. So waiter gives back into the kitchen to make a toast, and someone is making a coffee in a coffee machine and coming back. So similar thing. That's similar how they're going to make these resources underlying calls, right? The call service call to AWS provision and configure resource descriptor in your template, right? User need appropriate IAM permission to create resources. That's correct. So you need to make sure that user you creating needed permission to create these resources. Otherwise, it will come up with errors. Template can be saved locally or in S3 buckets, right? So in the following picture, just gives you idea. So first thing is template creation using JSON or YAML, and then you submit. And then once you submit the template, it's stack creation. Stack is what we call the resources created by that template, right? And then stack creation, they're going to check IAM permission and validation, and then going to execute, right? Resources. So let's say some sort of a problem happened in the middle, validating or something, and then what it does, it will roll back as it is, right? Roll back and delete the resources, whatever created, right? Let's say created 7 resources and then uh, finding out the problem in creating resources from 8, 10, 8, 9, 10. And then I will come back, right? And roll back and delete all the resources created so far, right? So access method cloud formation is available through multiple interfaces. Can be available through different interfaces. So console and API, application programming interface. So CLI, SDK, right? Development kits, right? So this is the sort of process of template creation, template validation, that is IAM and everything. So then it's tech creation, and then resource provisioning, and then stack complete means the resources mentioned, the resources listed in that template is created. Right? So getting started with the cloud formation. So first step with the cloud formation. Cloud formation is available through console, API, CLI, SDK. Begin by creating your first stack following guided instructions. That's a normal thing when you mentioned here, sign in for AWS account. Then template basic, create your first stack, right? Getting started with cloud formation workshop and some experience, right? So this is normal flow, the cloud formation template, stack creation, and you get AWS resources at the end of them, right? So going to explain sort of key template sections, right? So template structure, cloud formation template are divided into different sections, right? And resources is a mandatory section. The parameters, custom input values for your template, outputs, mappings, metadata. So this is the section. So most of them are optional, while resources is the mandatory. Right? So type of data using in these templates normally resources are the most, right, and then parameters, then outputs, then mappings and metadata, right? So these are the ones, right? So we're going to have a look at sample templates and tools to identify if a question in the exam gives you to identify something, might ask what can be created using this one or sort of things, right? Uh, Sample templates repository, right? AWS provide open source cloud formation templates on GitHub, right? To help you get it started with new infrastructure project. So if you search in sort of templates, you should be able to find out public GitHub accounts got so many templates. Templates organized by AWS service categories. Example for EC2, S3, RDS, Lambda, and more, right? Not production ready, require adaptation, right? So CloudFormation Rain helps format template consistent and standard, right? Convert between JSON and YAML format, right? Pressure comments in YAML, optimize intrinsic functions to short syntax, right? So this is sort of a template. So this is like a cleaner indentation mode using YAML. right? This one is like within brackets also, right? JSON use brackets, right? And YAML use indentation, quotes needed for simple strings, colons, and separator. See that same thing in the different ways. So same thing like a H3 bucket, creating H3 bucket, right? In both YAML format and JSON format, just to really familiar with this format to understand if anything given in the exam, you to understand. They can give you part of these ones and might be raise a question. Part of what resources is created, or they might ask what is the problem with this template, come up with an error or something. We'll discuss in the future, right? Mm. So most popular cloud formation template categories in GitHub, right? So let's have a look. So this one is the EC2 is the most popular. Uh, S3 is next, and then Lambda, RDS, and VPC, right? So EC2 is the most popular category. All right, we going to quick have a look, sort of like a piece of these ones, like you to understand if anything comes in exam or part of what is this. So cloud formation for high availability, fault tolerance, FT or disaster recovery and backup, right? AWS Cloud Formation plays a critical role in implementing resilient architecture across availability zones and regions. Here's how it supports various uh, reliability scenarios. We can quick have a look, sort of the coding, right? High availability. If you see part of this code, you can understand, right? For multi availability zone deployment. So the resources part is here, right? See that you say multi AC true, it will deploy it in there, and so backup retention period is 7 days, right? Then elastic load balancer with availability zone awareness, right? And see, this is a load balancer, subnet A and subnet B used in a different availability zone. So the other one is a fault tolerance, it's a scaling group, right? So sort of scaling group, right? Availability zones, right? Health check, yes. Plastic load balancing. Minimum size 2, maximum size 4, right? This is also a date letter queue in YAML. Haven't discussed uh, messaging services yet, right? And then disaster recovery strategies, right? Cross-region replications, bucket, S3, right? Replication configuration, right? Role, get attention, replication role, ARA, right? Destination, secondary region bucket, enabled, right? See that cloud formation stack sets for multi-region, right? See that region, US East, US West, 3 regions might be expensive. Sorry. There will be, I click something and head down. For, sorry about that. I just click on something and it went down. So we were here, right? Disaster recovery. See that letter, right? Application, second bucket, right? This is where we were. Backup solutions, automated backup with the life cycle policy. So AWS backup, daily backup, right? See that? Delete after 35 days. Point in time recovery, right? So point in time recovery enabled true. It's a DynamoDB. So conditional resource creation for DR. So, right. So it's using the CloudWatch is primary regions equal US East. So create a cloud switch alarm, right? So cross-region DNS failover, Route 53 primary, health check, right? Secondary record set, secondary, right? So the best practice, use CloudFormation drift detection to monitor configuration changes, implement its stack policies, protect critical resources, leverage CloudFormation export imports for cross-stack reference, use nested stack for modular DR component management, regulate test failover procedures. Right? CloudFormation provides the declarative framework to implement these patterns consistently and repeatably across all your environment. Right? So it comes with the um, references. So I think you get an idea how this cloud formation works. In the future, one of the video, I'm going to create some resources using cloud formation to demonstrate how this works. Until then, thank you very much.